So when I was a kid growing up, I was brought up in a very, what would you say, traditional, conservative, not conservative politically, but traditional in terms of like how children had to behave. You had to be respectful to your elders. You had to do a whole bunch of things. Some things are, universal, paying respect, being polite, doing those sorts of things, doing your homework, education is important. Certain things are cultural, things more, from the African background and everything like that. So there are some idiosyncrasies that make sense in one culture that don't make sense in another culture. But one of those universal things is one language, the way that we communicate with one another. And I think communication has always been the thing that fascinates me the most about pretty much any issue on this planet. Because fundamentally, right, at the end of it, we can solve almost every problem thrown at us by the universe. Now, if there was an asteroid on its way to a collision with the planet, that's a little bit more difficult. It will require a lot of coordination, a lot of like foresight and everything. And honestly, in today's climate, I feel like we would fail to rise up to that challenge. But aside from like cosmic level threats, we can solve pretty much everything that's on this particular blue marble anyway. Um, Within 50 years, if all of us decided that's what we're going to do, we could solve climate change, wealth inequality, we could do all of these things. But the medium through which that accord would have to be reached is communication. So, like I said, when I was growing up, I was brought up in a system of communication that was very much towards like respect and language and minding your language and everything like that. I was never allowed to swear. Swear words were definitely taboo. They were not just frowned upon, but they were really a sign of a lack of decorum, a lack of intelligence, and so on and so forth. Now, if you've ever listened to me in the past year or so, you will know that I have no quarrel using swear words. And I think it's because, first of all, there's a comedic effect to it. There's something, the taboo nature of swear words, sometimes it's fun to make sense, sometimes it's fun to make fun of the taboo itself. Why is this word taboo? And how ridiculous is that? Therefore, let me use it to kind of add spice to something else, Uh, but also, more importantly, sometimes there needs to be a sense where it's okay for a person who traditionally doesn't swear to swear when the moment calls for it. Because there are some moments in life that are so important, or that are so impactful, or that are so weighty, or they are so telling of a bigger issue that it's like, I will swear to signal to you that this issue is so serious that decorum can no longer get in the way. Because sometimes you need to just tell people something as raw as possible in order to communicate, the level of, intent behind, your frustration, your quarrel, your arguments, whatever it is that you believe is right to communicate. So that's why I swear, you know. 90% of the time I swear simply because I think it's fun, or I think because it has a spiciness to it that it adds to the conversation. The other 10% of the time I swear because it's something profound and it's something deep. And I don't want the sense of decorum to be euphemistic or euphemistical, or to have a euphemism kind of effect where it softens the blow of the situation. All of that to say that when I tell you that Game Pass fans are fucking idiotic, I really want you to pay attention to the fact that I said fucking idiotic, because the idiocy isn't just to a level that is reasonable, or that is simply like, oh, they have a slightly different understanding of the world. No, it's to the level where I truly, genuinely feel that they rewrite the otherwise rational and logical understanding of words, of the world, and of the universe in order to support a company or a company's policies. Now, you might think that's a pretty heavy handed way to start a video that at the end of the day isn't about something that matters all that much. But like I said, to me, it matters a lot because it's about communication. If we cannot have honest communication on something small and something that is relatively unimportant, and that is certainly not about saving the planet, then we will never get to have that honest discourse on things that matter. And I always say this to people: if you are in a relationship, whether that is a friendship, a romantic relationship, a partnership, a business dealing, whatever it is, any kind of situation where you relate to another human being, look at the small things, not the big things. It's easy to forgive big excuses, big mistakes. It's easy to forgive big mistakes when a person has been doing the small work. You know, let's just take a quick example. If you're in a relationship with your personal partner and you say that this person is someone that shows up every day, that knows your coffee order, that makes you tea, you know, that helps you pay your small bills, you know, when you have, that tries to relieve pressure in the small ways, you know, that they can on an everyday, very small basis. That is a person worth keeping around. Maybe they will not always be your partner. Maybe they'll transition to a friend. Maybe they'll become an ex. But this is a good person for you. And that is should be someone that will never betray you in a way that is so fundamental that it is a risk to yourself, to your core. By contrast, if you have someone that minimizes you, not just in a way that they try to get you fired from your job or some other big thing like that, but someone that just belittles you in the small ways, you know, calls you stupid, calls you idiotic, calls you, you know, all of these small little things, these small little hurts, you know, death by 1,000 cuts. That's someone that you should cut off way before they have the opportunity to do something big and something that quote unquote matters, because the small things matter. So when I came into the community and I wanted to talk about video games, I always have cared the most, not about what happens, as in what the companies do or what they try to propose or the policies that they try to enact, but about how we on a very, you know, grassroots level care about how we talk about those things. You know, when I say that Xbox is dead, it's not because I think that my words are going to reach Phil Spencer and he's going to go like, I think this guy might be right. Let me change these policies. No, it's because I want to honestly be able to say to people and to people around me, to the peers around me, that this company is being fucking up. And it's fucked up. And it's to the point where now it is complete. You cannot recover Xbox. I was thinking very, very hard over the last few days. And I'll probably be thinking about over the next few days. What could you possibly do to recover Xbox to be the premium console brand that it once was, that it had the promise to be, that it should be presently? And I can't think of anything. That's what gets me to declare that Xbox is dead. I remember when Stadia was around. And now my mom and now your mama knows, that's the channel, the cowboy, and he just kept going on about Stadia, and I was like, mate, Stadia is dead. Like, this thing that you think is going to happen, that people are going to log on to Stadia and refuse consoles and refuse PCs and, you know, just go the whole Stadia route. I'm like, that is so far from reality that it's not even worth entertaining. Like, you're so wrong that the only thing to tell you is that this road doesn't lead anywhere. It's not just a dead end, it's a void, it's a chasm. Only death goes that way, you know. Only death down that path. And he didn't believe me. And he put this challenge for me, you know, and he said, okay, since Stadia is dead, tell me, when is it going to die? Give me an exact date. I don't want the, oh, in 1 or 2 years. I don't want the, oh, in 6 months or this term or after this. Give me an exact day. Like, give me the day it is going to die. And I said, that's easy. And I simply gave him the day that Stadia was released. Because that was the day he died. It was dead from that point. And, you know, he took it in good humor. He laughed and everything like that. He said, you know, you're the first person to actually answer this with an actual, you know, answer. But, you know, Stadia isn't dead. And I said, okay, but you'll see. And then less than a year later, Stadia was completely closed and everything else had been refunded and blah, blah, blah. That's because Stadia was always dead. When I said that Xbox is dead, you know, I mean, if you wanted to put a question to the same challenge to me, when did Xbox die or when will Xbox die? I think the thing with Xbox is that it had momentum that Stadia didn't have. Stadia didn't have, you know, a successful 360 generation preceded by a successful original Xbox generation, to give it the momentum that it can. Because the thing is, much like Jesus of Nazareth, some things can be resurrected. So it's harder to do for Xbox. But I will say that the very first day that it died was the day when they changed the Game Pass model to promise Game Pass day and date. Game Pass Day and Date has been a scourge upon the entire business model of Xbox. It's really, and I mean, there are reasons why Game Pass Day and Date became the thing. We can all acknowledge that they were not selling games. It was just like a big shining light. Look, we are doing something different. We're doing something new. Pay attention to us moment. And it could have paid off. It could have paid off. I think I would have changed some things about it because I think you could get 90% of the return on that kind of promise of a game delivered to you quickly. Um, while also avoiding maybe 60% or 50% of the downsides if you were to promise, say, games within 6 months. It's not as sexy, it's not as flamboyant, but I think it still says, hey, pay attention to us, look what we're doing, we're trying something new here without picking up, the cannibalization and everything else like that. That's to the side. But the moment they promised Game Pass Day and Date, it was a huge mistake. And I remember going on what was his name? Xbox University's space. And I said I just kept on hampering, they need to get rid of Game Pass Day and Date because it's killing. It's a cancer to the Xbox business model. And eventually he got pissed off and he kicked me out. And this is a moment that people like to remind me happened like many times, but I'm like, why do you think that's a W for you? I was right. Obviously, I was right. Look at what has happened. And most importantly, look at the fact that eventually, quite a few years ago by now, but eventually Xbox realized that I was right. They got rid of Xbox Game Pass Day and Date. They got rid of it in two ways. Both of them are very insidious, and both of them are still with them trying to pretend that they are doing it whilst not doing it. The first way, and I think the less insidious one, is simply they took the day and date promise and they put it in the highest tier of Game Pass. By the way, for the purpose of this conversation, I'm just talking about the console perspective. I fully understand that PC Game Pass works differently. But if you are on the console, you can be in 2 out of 3 tiers of Game Pass and you can not have day and date. Now, that's very bad because a lot of the advertising is available day one on Game Pass. And this really suggests that on any version of Game Pass, you should be having that promise being fulfilled. That's really what it does. Otherwise, they will have to say available day one on Game Pass Ultimate, and then PC gamers will understand that they only have a single tiers of Game Pass, and they get it anyway, which I think is more honest. But available day one on Game Pass or day one on Game Pass, when 2 out of your 3 tiers, and it doesn't matter like, oh, this is the ultimate option, this is that. No. If I say something is available day one on Netflix, you're not thinking to yourself, oh, it doesn't apply to the Netflix ad and the Netflix standard and the Netflix premium and the Netflix ultimate or whatever the fuck they call the tiers. You just think it's available day one on Netflix. That's just what it communicates to you. It's available day one on Netflix. And the understanding there is regardless wherever you're on, those tiers delineate for Netflix whatever quality or whatever expectation, whether you have ads or not, whether you can stream at 1080p or not, whether you can stream at 4K or not, whether you can have multiple simultaneous screens or not, so on and so forth. That's what those delineate. But the actual availability of the title, it should be, at the very least, it should be on every tier of Netflix. If Stranger Things Season 5 comes out, it's available across the board. Now, am I guaranteed that is the case? No, because Netflix sometimes works differently in different countries. And either way, I only have like the Netflix highest tier, the premium one. So I don't know exactly. But if a person says available day one on Netflix, I'm not going to give Netflix any break either by saying, oh, you can just put it in the highest tier on Netflix and not on the lower ones, because that's dishonest. Can we just call it dishonest? It's dishonest. The second way that they got rid of Game Pass Day and Date, and the more insidious one, and the one that for some reason the media has been refusing to cover, is early access. Early access is a lie, and we used to identify it as a lie. I remember for so many years during like I don't even know before COVID, I think. I used to be like a big viewer of Young Yeah, not like a fan of his, but I would just catch his videos because I wanted to like keep up with the news, you know. And you know, especially when you were going against loot boxes, that was really the period. You know, it was loot boxes, microtransactions, and early access. And I feel like rightfully the gaming community were having honest conversations about like these things are insidious, these things are bad, these things aren't what were promised. You know, we had loot boxes that would cost $15, $30 and you don't even know what you're getting. You have microtransactions that would be like $30 to $50 inside. How are they micro anymore? When they were $2.99, they were micro. When they are $15, when they are $20, when they are $30, when they are $50, when they are $100, how are these micro anymore when a single transaction can be worth more than the game you're making that transaction for? It's crazy. You know, when you buy credit and it's like, oh, buy $150 worth of this credit and then you get like 20,000 fake currency for this particular game. That's worth more than the game you actually paid for. And we were having honest discussions back then. And I remember one of the things that he would always say is that early access is just everybody who is on early access playing on time and then making everybody else wait. But when it came to Game Pass, I didn't see the same attitude from him or from any other member of the media or even just like the YouTubers, you know, the skill ups of the world and everything like that. And I just like, why? Why do we pretend that it's not a breach of the contract? If I had the money, I would sue Microsoft. Because if you sell me on Game Pass Ultimate and you say you will be able to have this game day and date, and then you make the game available for quote unquote early access, but that is a public facing availability. Anyone can get it, yes, including me, but you sold me on this perk. If I say to you, like, hey, I have an automotive company and I'm a startup. Should you give me a $10,000 deposit, you will get the first batch of vehicles that comes out of my factories. And you're like, yep, great, I believe in your vision. Then on one day in June, right, June the 1st, you walk by, you know, a shop and you see the car. And you think to yourself, like, oh, they started a showroom for the car. Of course, they're trying to build up hype. And you walk into the showroom and the person says, hey, would you like to buy this car? And you're like, that can't be right. It can't be available for sale because I paid to have the first batch of cars that are deliverable. And they're like, no, it's on the lot. If you pay us this money, you can just go and drive away today, right now. We can make it happen very quickly. You will be like, but no, my reservation gives me the right to have had the car the moment it was available for sale. And then you call me and you're very frustrated, you're very angry, and you're telling me that I lied to you, which I did. But you say, I said to you, no, you're getting it in 2 weeks because the allocation that you got, that's what it entitles you to. But by the way, if you just add a little bit extra, you can take that car out today and we'll just make it happen on our end. You'll be like, no, that's not what you promised. You promised that I will get the car as soon as it's available, as soon as it comes out of your factory even. If anything, I should have gotten it early before it even made it to your showroom. And I'm like, yeah, nah, that's not really what. No, all of that is to say, this tweet that I made. Let's go to it. I said, so first of all, let's read that the thing I'm quoting here. It says here, if you want to dive into the macabre and fantastical world of South of Midnight a tad bit early, you can purchase the premium edition and play up to 5 days early, along with access to digital extras. Okay, now this is something that Microsoft has done most famously with Forza Horizon 5. And I said, Xbox keeps cheating Game Pass out of true day and date. Early access is just making you pay a premium to play on time and making everyone else wait, despite the fact that they're already paying for what is supposedly a day and date perk. Disgusting and anti-consumer. That is something I stand behind. It's disgusting because it's disgusting for corporations to lie and get away with it. And it's anti-consumer because you literally promised people to have this perk, and then you take it away, but you couch it in, oh, that's the early access version. It's crazy. It's no different than when EA in Mass Effect 3 took a core character in the Prothean. Oh god, what was it called again? But they took a core character of the game that was already built into the game, and then they locked him behind the DLC, even though he was on the disc that you bought. But they made you pay for an additional code to unlock something that was already part of the story, and it was integral to the structure of the story. It's one of the reasons that when people say that Mass Effect 3 wasn't bad, I'm like, do you remember what you played? Like, I know we were all like children back then. It was like 15 years ago. But it was disgusting. It was super gauche what they actually did. This is no different. It's anti-consumer. This is a perk you have paid for. And then they are renaming something else. Ooh, look at this hand. And then they're saying, oh, it doesn't count as release on day one. But now look to how fucking idiotic these people are, right? Now over here, this person is good. Something tells me that they delayed the actual release date so they can call the actual release date early access and charge for it. That's exactly what they do. That is exactly what they do. Okay, now listen to this one. It's $10 more. Stop acting like PlayStation doesn't charge extra for cosmetic that can be unlocked in-game. And I'm like, where did you get PlayStation out of this? Where in this was PlayStation mentioned? Okay, and first of all, let's even entertain it. They charge extra for cosmetics that can be unlocked in-game. Okay, but if they tell you like, hey, these cosmetics are just early unlocks and you decide to pay for that edition, that's cool. And you should receive that because that's what you paid for. But they can also be unlocked with the standard edition. So it's fine. But if you're on Game Pass, you don't unlock the early access by just having Game Pass. You unlock it by paying extra, even though you already paid for that perk. Like, I think that's the part people are missing. It's like, you already paid for this. This isn't something that was like offered, simply because they like you. This is something that you pay for. So if we expand this thread, over here, and I hate the way that Twitter works, but then this person says, when in doubt, Sony too. Of course, the whole whataboutism. Then it says Sony do a lot worse than this. Again, what does PlayStation have to do with any of this? Let's continue. What? Man, come on, bro. Who cares? It's like a week early tops. So you're saying because they are whipping you off a little, it's okay. So you don't see that I'm wrong. You agree that I'm right, but you think it's not egregious enough for you to do anything about it. Even though it's wrong for them to have sold you on something they refuse to deliver to you. It's crazy. Then over here says early access always existed since 2013. Now it's Xbox's fault, even though Valve introduced it. That is such a weird thing. This would be like, oh, well, slavery always existed, but it was the Europeans who introduced it, so why should we do anything about it? Bro, it's false equivalency. It's Xbox that is doing it. It's Xbox that is proposing Game Pass. No one asked Xbox in the first place to make their games available day and date. They decided to make that choice, and they decided to sell people on that perk. They have to deliver to it on an honest fashion. It's the exact same thing that they said about the Xbox Series S, and they were saying that, oh, this will do 1440p, basically, but same frames, same resolutions as the Xbox Series X. Again, how are these companies not being sued when they just flat out lie to us? Same thing with Sony saying that games will be able to run at 8K on the PlayStation 5. Now, you can again say that did Sony say games will be able to run at 8K? They put it on the box. I'm sure there's like legal way where they can like wiggle the way out of it, but I don't think that's right. I don't think it's right because it definitely sends a message to the person that buys it that I will in good faith receive this perk. And if you were going to say, oh, it plays 8K movies or it can play textures up to 8K, then two choices. Number one, be super detailed and specific about exactly what they can have, plainly written in English on the box. Or two, don't put 8K in a big shiny logo. And I think that's why they took it off eventually. Over here, it's a single player game. Stop this useless drama. Would it be any worse if it was a multiplayer game? Really? Like, is that a deal? Like, you're allowed to lie to me if it's single player, but not if it's multiplayer? Like, are you serious? That's your bro. This person, I remember Asa saying, it's not played day one with Game Pass, it's playing day 5 on Game Pass. That's exactly it. Day 5, day 6, day 8, day 15, whatever they choose it to be, as long as they call anything early access, like by this logic, Microsoft could release a game 6 months early to the public, available to purchase. And as long as they call that time early access, they can just release it on Game Pass whenever they want. Like, where is the line? The line should be at, this is the contract that we sign. I pay you $20 a month for whatever it is in my currency. You promise me this game day and date. I release it on the first day it's available to the general public. This isn't early access as in Steam early access, where it's available to members of the community that are willing to put up with a work in progress in order to give feedback, get access to the game early, influence the decisions. It's not about that. This isn't that kind of early access. This is literally just delayed access. That's really what it is. Because it comes out on the day it's supposed to come out, and then you make everybody else wait, hoping that they will not be able to stand the wait, and then they will give you even more money to pay for something they've already paid for. Over here, early access has been a thing since day one with this generation, but once again they complain when it's Xbox's turn to do it. But wait, Baldur's Gate 3, Game of the Year did it, and many other games. Just stop, it's not hurting anyone. Again, I think there's a fundamental difference between something like a title like Baldur's Gate 3. Let's say that Baldur's Gate 3 comes out and it has like a premium edition that has quote unquote early access. I still think that's wrong. I think they should call it delayed access. They shouldn't say that, oh, we are somehow promoting you guys to get the game early. No, it's we're penalizing everybody else for not giving us enough money so they get to play late. And I think the community, just like they were before in the time of the loot boxes conversation, they should be honest about that. These companies are all lying. Whether Baldur's Gate does it or not doesn't actually stop Game Pass. Here's the problem though. With Baldur's Gate, you haven't paid any money yet. You get to see the fancy edition with the quote-unquote early access, and you get to see the standard edition with the delayed access, and you choose which camp you fall under. You haven't prepaid for that perk. The problem with Game Pass is you prepay for it, or at least you can prepay for it. You can prepay for Game Pass for months and then fall into the later category, even though you were promised to receive the game on day one. It would be no different than if you went to a company like an aircraft company or an airline like Emirates, and you decide to pay for like the top tier membership, and they promised you that every single time that you fly, you're going to get first class tickets. And then when you get on the plane, you realize that you're actually in business class. And then they tell you like, oh yeah, no, it's because what you paid for was not really first class. It was more like upper business-ish class. And that's where we put you. But those people over there that pay more than you, they get real first class. You will be furious, you'll be livid because they've sold you a lie. Over here, it says, if the company wants to make some extra money with 3-day early releases, that's fine. I don't think there's any game I pay extra to play 3 days early, but if people want to power the money for early access, all the more power to them. Again, if they were not prepaying for the perk, then sure. If Microsoft hadn't already taken money out of their wallets to give them this particular benefit, I would agree with you, because then a person can make on the day decision that they want to make. But it is not the same. Over here, you must be new to gaming. Like, fuck off. Unlike other early access games, it's all the same. Pay early or wait for launch. No, first of all, you don't wait for launch. It's already launch. Okay? It's either pay on time or wait for the delay. And again, just because other people do shitty things doesn't mean that you should allow the person that you support monetarily to also do shitty things. Just because the rent down the street was raised by 5 times doesn't mean that your landlord should just feel well, I'm gonna raise it too. No, like, that's not a defense. That's not an excuse. It's fucking idiotic. Over here, it's hard to get extra money from subscribers. Let them quote unquote upgrade to premium for a lower price to get through day one. And I mean, yeah, it is hard to do it, but it is scummy, you know? It's like, yes, but it's scummy. Gotta have those apostrophes right. Game Pass is day one, public release date. Anyone can do early access. No, it's not day one. If the public can pay for it, that's day one. Oh my God. Almost every new AAA game. Like, do you guys hear yourselves? Do you hear yourself? Just because everybody else does it, why are you complaining? It's like, bro, if humanity would not have come out of the caves if we just had this attitude of, oh, because everybody else does shitty things or because everybody else lies, then why are you going up against the system? Over here, early access has been around for years, so it's not new. Loot boxes have also been around for years. Are people going to accept loot boxes in the game? I mean, gacha games kind of like, sure that they can because Jesus, people are so fucking dumb. But bro, this isn't an argument to say that other people have lied and have abused their position, because this is lying, this is abuse of your customer base. It's not a reason. It's like, you guys get this, bro. It's 5 days. Don't let executives get you and simply wait. Like, what are you talking about, bro? How can you be agreeing to the point, but then make it about me and my supposed insecurities? It's wrong. Just say it's fucking wrong. Like, can we just talk honestly to one another and be like, yeah, this is shitty? Why can't we just say it's shitty that this is happening? That they are lying about Game Pass day and date when they are not offering it on day one. Now, a month later, it doesn't matter. But the whole idea, the whole appeal of Game Pass, a huge part of its draw card is the day and date component. Okay, let me put it this way. If Microsoft is so comfortable, with making people wait and everything like that, why don't they just say play it on Game Pass week 2? Just say that, because that'll be true. You'll be able to get it on Game Pass in the second week, but if you want to get the extra perk, then you can pay extra. You guys all know why they don't want to do that, because it doesn't sound sexy. Because it sounds like you're getting second-class treatment. And this, by the way, is emblematic of the entire reason why Xbox has died. Now, over here, we have C-Fresh, a breath of fresh air in this case. Yeah, it's real scummy. I'm surprised not many Game Pass subscribers speak out about it. And I just want to talk about this whole thing that, the media and YouTubers are holding, which is this notion that Game Pass is the best deal in gaming. In reality, that fantasy, that line, that catchphrase that they like to say, that's the reason why they don't want to go out and actually call this out. Because you can't say that something is the best thing in gaming if it is not delivering the thing that it has promised to deliver. And this is a pretty big thing. Like, again, if you say to someone, PlayStation Plus offers a better value than Game Pass, it is cheaper, it has more games, it has more Game of the Year contenders as part of its subscription service, yada, yada, yada. The one card that they will pull out is always, it doesn't offer day-and-date games. That doesn't sound the same if you say, oh, it doesn't offer access to games on week 2 or week 3. Doesn't sound the same. Day and date is a very powerful marketing term. So we should hold the company to that standard. Again, if a person like myself is paying for Netflix Premium, which I am, and then Stranger Things is available on Netflix, but not as a part of my standard tier, but for a week it's available only to pay if I pay extra, the whole world would have a problem with Netflix. It's crazy. It's crazy. Then over here, this person, Broken Messiah, the fact that people defend this marketing bullshit is beyond me. Bro, exactly. Exactly. How are you defending this shit? It's just like, bro, how do you defend being ripped off? How do you defend being ripped off? This is crazy. I have so many people calling me an inbred. Like, bro, why are you shooting the messenger? Like, what the fuck? You're calling a person inbred because they point out that the company is being scummy with its marketing practices? But lots of people will go after Sony after the 8K, and you should. If you truly feel like Sony lied to you, like you believed that 8K would be a part of the gaming experience on the base PS5 for video games, and you feel like you missed out on that, go ahead and criticize them. I'm not going to talk to you and be like, oh, no one needs 8K. 8K TVs don't even happen. Oh, it was only on so many bucks. No, it was a shitty thing that they did. They should not have put it there in prominent print at the front of the box, giving the illusion to the customer that they can expect this feature to be a part. And I'm sorry, I know the PlayStation 5 can play Netflix and Disney and Blu-rays and whatever, but it's a gaming console. Everything you put at the front of the box should be for gaming. Or even when they put 4K 120. And again, there's that kind of thing where it's like, should people really have to think to themselves, oh, they meant 4K, not necessarily 4K 120 at the same time, but 4K up to 120 No, bro. We are not lawyers, okay? The lawyers, the marketing people, they had years to think about the marketing campaign for the PlayStation 5. They should have made it clear exactly what people can expect. It should have clearly said 4K, up to 4K, up to 120. That's really the most honest you can in a short soundbite to say what the specifications that you'll be able to receive on the other end of a game from the PlayStation 5 were. And if you want to make that argument and you want to point out that, that moment of dishonesty in Sony, 100% do it. And I will not stand to you against it. I won't stand against it. It's ridiculous for you to be like, oh yeah, I'm not going to blow my casket over 5 days. Like, bro. Oh my God, it's so stupid. So stupid. Listen, look at this guy. Jesus, the entitlement. Appreciate that you are still getting to play the game on Game Pass. It's so fucking criminal. Yo, how idiotic do you have to be like, oh, thank this company for actually giving you the thing that they promised to give you for the money they charge you in return? It's just like, oh, like, how dare you? How dare you be so entitled to think that you deserve to have this thing that the company traded you money for? Yo, listen. Over here, stop being cheap and get premium. Here's the problem, mate. Game Pass Ultimate, which is the premium version, doesn't give you. They say, oh, he means get the premium edition, like pay the extra $10. Okay, cool. I guess, listen. What is this guy? And play a game. What is this guy even talking about? Why is there this screenshot? You know what? Let me just. These are the guys that they only have like 18 followers or something. But yeah. Over here, this guy, I don't even know what this is about. I haven't listened to this thing, and I'm not going to listen to it on the video anyway. But I think he thinks that I'm Craig because I don't even see myself in that particular screenshot. I guess all black people look the same to him. I don't know. But yeah. Anyways, I wanted to say that. And I just want to say this. By the way, this is the same kind of attitude that has brought us to the state with with Xbox that we are in, where it doesn't matter what you point out as problematic. People would rather attack you than deal with the reality of the situation. And it goes everywhere and in everything. What I like about video game discourse is that the same mechanics that apply in video game discourse, and I'm sure in every other hobby as well, are the same mechanics that drive our politics, are the same mechanics that drive our interactions with each other, are the same mechanics that drive quote unquote hot button issues. Like, we can't even agree that a company not delivering on its promise should be a thing of concern. No, instead we should feel grateful and not so entitled that we even get the benefit in the first place, even as we pay for it. It's crazy because I can get Game Pass at any time. I can get the highest end version, but no, I shouldn't expect the highest end version to deliver the thing that the highest end version entitle me to, I should just feel grateful, I guess. Anyways, that's what I wanted to say. Game Pass fans, you guys are fucking moronic. And if you don't see an issue with this, you're even dumber than that. So that's my word. That's it.